Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Our Life Beginnings and Always Let's Play Part 11. Last time we did the barbecue DLC, which I really enjoyed. It was a very good one. Fairly long too, for what it felt like. And if you haven't seen that one, please check it out. It was very good. There's a lot going on. It was nice seeing the characters interact at it. We had a barbecue at the park, and there were some fireworks and some other stuff, and it was pretty nice. So definitely check that out. But this time we're going to do Runaway, which I have no idea. I mean, I'm guessing maybe Cove or maybe us and Lizzie are trying to run away from home. So I'm kind of interested in how this is going to be. So let's jump in, shall we? It was early and you were on your way to the playground, like usual. Lizzie planned on joining you later though. You weren't sure what she was busy doing right now. Older kid stuff, you imagine. Yeah, because 10-year-olds have so much older kid stuff they gotta do. I don't know, maybe it's not school, so I don't know what she's doing. Anyways, that was okay. What was forthright in your mind was if Code might be free to join you. Probably. I wonder where he's headed. He's got a little backpack on. As you walked the familiar street, wondering how you might find your neighbor, he appeared right in front of you, almost as if he was a mind reader. Hey, Cove, can you come play with me? No, sorry. Cove looked strangely serious. It had to be even bigger deal than whatever mystery thing Lizzie had to do. I'm leaving, Jamie. What? Where? He shifted, and your gaze was drawn to the backpack slung over his shoulders. Cove liked to stuff things into his pockets, from what he'd seen, but people sometimes carried bags with them. It hadn't been very attention-worthy until now. The pack was decorated with the cartoon waves and dolphins. That's cute. He gripped one of the straps tightly in his good hand. I just wanted you to know. Cove didn't glance at him and meet your eyes. You started to grow worried. I don't get it, but where are you going? Oh, can I go too, or I'll come with you? Let's just come with him and see what happens. I mean, plus it'd be safer. He looked up at you. You hoped he'd agree, but instead he shook his head. I'll come back though, sometime. I don't know when, but we can do stuff then. He directed a fragile smile your way. Without another word, Cove turned on his heel and started to walk away. Bye. See you when you're done. Wait, or you shouldn't say anything else to him. We're gonna say wait. We need to follow him. He kept going. His focus wasn't on you anymore. What was that about? You watched as his back grew smaller and smaller. Then you realized that you were still standing in the middle of the sidewalk. You thought about your earlier plan of playing at the park. Suddenly, it didn't seem fun anymore, not without Cove. But it wasn't like you could force him to play with you. He had things to do. You went to the park to play or you stayed there? Let's stay here for a minute. You could play at the park some other time. It wasn't like it was going anywhere, and you couldn't just bring yourself to leave like this. You didn't move from your spot. You just continued looking on quietly. It didn't take long to realize he was just going up the street. You were positive there was nothing good over there. Not the park, or the beach, the storefront, or his house, or anything. He was new. He might not know what you did. You jogged down the street to catch up with him. You slowed down once you reached his side. He glanced at you from the corner of his eye and frowned. Go away, Jamie. I just wanted to say you're going the wrong way. There aren't any places the way you're going. His mouth twisted further. He didn't appreciate your warning. I'm still going. Why? What are you doing? Walking. Well, can I come with you if you're just walking? Cove let out a deep sigh. You got the feeling that he was starting to get mad at you. I told you I'm leaving. I'm going to be gone for a while. You stop pushing and let him go, or I still want to go with you. You can't. Why not? Cove came to a sudden stop. You almost kept walking ahead of him because you weren't expecting it. My dad doesn't know. If you come, you'll get in trouble when he finds out. You felt a knot start to grow in your stomach. You're not supposed to be leaving. His expression was grave. He shook his head. Dad isn't home right now. I left him a letter, so he won't get confused when he gets back. Bad, Cove. You don't do this. But you can't tell anybody about this, okay? You can pretend you never saw me. Okay, bye. I won't tell anyone where you're going. Wrong. I still want to go. I don't care if I get in trouble or I have to tell someone. This is the correct answer, but we can't tell him that. Don't do it all by yourself. Cove's hard expression wavered. You could tell he hadn't expected you to say that. Really? You don't think it's a bad idea or something? Well, I mean, it's a bad idea, but we can't let you go by yourself, you know? Nope, it's like we're going on an adventure. It's not a big deal, right? We're gonna have fun. I don't know, but if you're doing it anyway, I should too. It might be a bad idea, but... His lips curved up to a smile. Okay, you can go. This is not gonna end well. You grinned, pleased that he gave in so easily. You thought it might take longer since he was so set on going alone. You turned a bit in the middle of the sidewalk, and so did Cove when he saw it. You pointed over your shoulder with your thumb. Let's go to my house first. I can get my backpack. We can't, sorry. If we're gonna be away, I better take some stuff. It's not that. I don't want our parents to catch us. Your moms could think it's weird that we have bags. They might ask. We don't have a lot of time anyways. He motioned to his backpack, patting it with his hand. Its front bulged out slightly. Don't worry, I packed snacks. It'll be alright. You wish you could bring your backpack along just to be safe, but his explanation made sense. 8-year-old logic, everybody. They're not going to get very far. They're going to run out of food or something, and then, or someone's going to find them, but... Alright, we can leave. Cove smiled. He seemed to be in much better spirits than when you first ran into him. You were glad. He wasn't always this upbeat. This was fine, though. Otherwise, he wouldn't be Cove. But you liked seeing him smile. Yeah. Cove took the first step, and you mirrored him. As one, both of you ran up the street. You were off into unknown territory. You ran through the first few neighborhoods like that, your feet pounding on concrete. Whenever one of you got tired, you'd take a break for a minute. The moment there was a sound, you'd be off again in case someone you knew might realize what you're up to. Because of how cautious you were, the two of you didn't run into anyone, not even other kids enjoying their summer. It was like you had suddenly become criminals, always worried if someone was on your trail. As tense as it was, you were still glad you got the opportunity to take a proper break. Cove waited for you to stop once you were out of the residential district. The houses disappeared and broad storefronts taking their place. You were all the way into the business part of town. And this was the first time you came here on foot. Before, one of your moms had always drove you to this place in their car. Dang, they must have walked far then. Cole leaned up against a nearby tree and wiped sweat off his forehead. You braced your hands on your knees, breathing hard. You looked over at the road ahead. We're so far. A strange expression flickered across Cove's face at your words before he nodded. You spoke again until huffing. My mom is bringing me and Lizzie here for shopping. Yeah, I've never been here before, not without Dad. Are you having regrets now? Or no, he looks happy about it. He looked pleased by that. We're doing good. It's not even nighttime. You were starting to feel good about it too, or you were still unsure? Where are we gonna sleep? You thought it was right to have gone to Cove, but being so far from your neighborhood made you feel even more weird about what was happening. Clearly, Clove wanted to keep going. For how long, though? He couldn't want you to keep walking forever. Clove slid his backpack off and unzipped it. You watched curiously as he stuffed a hand in and searched for something. To your delight, he pulled out 2 juice boxes and offered one to you. Here. Thank you, I was getting thirsty. The two of you took a moment to unwrap the straws and poke them into the special circle part of the box. The juice was warm, but still good. You sighed contentedly over your first sip. Your throat was beginning to ache from how dry it had gotten. It really had been a while since this all started. As you took another sip of your juice, you gazed through Cove's bag. He hadn't closed it yet. What else is in there? There's still a few juice boxes left. He peered inside and began to list off the items as he spotted them. He peered inside and began to list off the items as he spotted them. I got some snacks from the kitchen too. Chips, muffins, bananas, candy. That was already a lot, but he kept excavating more. I also took a couple clothes, a flashlight, a first aid kit for my dad's bathroom, and a blanket. Oh, and some money my dad gave me a while ago that I hadn't spent yet. Your mouth made a small O halfway through his lengthy list. You brought a lot of stuff. We wouldn't have to grab a flashlight or a first aid kit. Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. I told you I was going away. You didn't know what to say. The little smile Cove had been wearing earlier was gone now, like it had never been there in the first place. He watched as he zipped up his backpack and slipped it on. That's a big backpack. He started walking without a single glance over at you. Though he still did take small, unhappy sips of his juice. For some time, the two of you went forward in complete silence. The more ground you covered, the more serious Cove seemed to become. He hadn't looked at you or said anything in a while. He had just taken your empty juice box from you and stowed it away in his backpack. That was it. You knew there had to be more to this. Yeah, I wonder why he decided to leave now. The sun dislodged itself from the place in the sky, dipping lower and lower. The streetlights came on. It was as if they were anticipating nightfall. You tried to convince him to go back, or you kept walking. We need to go back, but I don't know if we should try now or wait. He's already mad at us. I don't know. I'm gonna pick the wrong choice. I can already tell. Hey, Cove. Cove finally turned to look at you. You gave him your best attempt at a warm smile. It's gonna be dark soon. We should head back. To your dismay, he scowled and shook his head immediately. I'm not going back. I can't. But what about your dad? He'll be fine. I left him a letter. If you want to leave, you can. I'm gonna keep going. There was no changing his mind, you realized. He was doing this with or without you. You gave in and kept walking with him, or you turned back on your own. We can't leave him by himself. You wanted to go home, but not without Cove. Leaving him all alone would be much worse. Exactly. Okay, I'm coming with you. His features softened the slightest bit at your response. You got the feeling he was relieved by your decision to stay. The two of you continued to trudge past the storefront. Silence fell over you again. You had no idea how to break it, or even if you wanted to. People had said this was a really tiny town, but to you it felt absolutely gigantic. Eventually, the business part ended too, and there was no sidewalk anymore, only a long expanse of road. You walked onto the grass instead. Not even that was enough to stop him. Onward was your only option. Your journey stubbornly continued. The hunch you had about Cove's possible destination soon became certain. There was only one place out of town after all. The bus stop? Your feet hurt. You were tired. The two of you didn't have any parents with you, but somehow you had reached the very edge of Sunset Berg. That's what the sign told you. You had lived in Sunset Berg forever, and it was a very rare occasion that you seen the sign. Most everything in your life happened inside the city limits. Dang, they walked far then. The endless road seemed scary in a way. It paralyzed you. You glanced over at Cove. You made it here just before nightfall, but now what? Outside of town, there was nothing. How would he get to where he wanted to go? Cove, however, didn't falter. He kept walking. As he neared the sign, he finally stopped. That was a relief. He took off his backpack and sat down, crossing his legs beneath him. You lowered yourself beside the boy as he zipped the backpack open and rummaged through it again. What snack do you want? You were almost taken back by his voice. It had been a while since you last heard it. Pursing her lips, she recalled the snacks he listed off earlier. I want chips, a muffin, a banana, candy, or not. I'm not hungry. Let's have a muffin. He pulled out 2 muffins. After passing you your food, he took a big bite out of the top of his muffin. You peered over at your friend. He stared at the path ahead with a solemn expression. You turned away. The sun had set some time after both of you had finished eating. Now it was getting dark, apart from the faint moonlight. You watch as Cove grab the flashlight from his bag. What are we gonna do? Sleep out here? I guess. He was speaking defensively again. Cove flicked the flashlight on. A beam of light cut through the darkness, weakly illuminating the area you sat. You pulled your knees up to your chest, wrapping your arms around him. You weren't cold. Summer nights were sort of warm. You just felt like it. Is it okay if I ask something? Cove's focus didn't waver from the road, but he nodded. Why do you want to leave Sunset Berg so bad? At first, Cove was quiet. You started to think he wouldn't say anything. Then he spoke. My mom called today to check up on me and stuff. Okay, that explains it. His mom called and he got triggered. She asked what Sunset Berg was like and how I was doing. It was okay. But when I asked if she'd come here, Mom said she couldn't. I couldn't go back either, not right now. She had to move to somewhere else first. Cove glared at the ground. His voice cracked as he continued. Why can't I even see her anymore? He used his uncast arm to rub both of his eyes. I'm gonna go by myself. I don't need anyone else to take me. Oh, I see. He wants to see his mom. Although, your dad has to be the more responsible one because your mom kicked you guys out and she hasn't come to see you at all. Like, I feel like your mom's not very responsible. But, you know, he's little. He's 8. He doesn't realize that it's mom's fault, really, that, you know, he can't see her and that she's not trying to come see him. How are you going to get to your mom's place? That's such a bad idea. Yes. Right. This is all just too much and you started to cry, or how do you know the directions to your old house, or you're being selfish? Do you know the directions to your old house? He just wanted to see his mom. Maybe you would have had the idea to run away too if you were Cove, but that didn't mean it would work. She's not there. They both left it. She's staying with somebody until she moves somewhere else. Where's her friend's house? Cove was silent for a moment. He poked a hole in his perfect plan. Then he shook his head like he was trying to clear it. When he spoke some more, it was almost like most likely to himself. I don't go see Mom, then she's... Fresh tears glistened in Cove's red-rimmed eyes. He stubbornly tried to blink them away, but they slipped down his cheeks. You frowned at the sight. No matter what, you hated to see him cry. What'll happen? Mom doesn't call that much, and I haven't seen her in so long. Yeah, because your mom doesn't care. She kicked you and your dad out for some reason. Don't know why. And she doesn't even try to talk to you, or she doesn't even attempt to see you. She doesn't care that much. Your dad's obviously the responsible one, but you're mean to him because you're little and you don't understand. He hiccuped, wiping his face with the back of his hand. His glasses got shoved up awkwardly as a result. If I don't go, she'll be gone. She'll forget about me. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. That's not how that works, though. She doesn't want to see you. If she wanted to, she'd come out here and see you, and she'd call you frequently. She wouldn't do that. How do you know? She's your mom. She loves you, even if she doesn't act like it sometimes. Your mom's always said that, so it must be true for Cove's mom, too. Cove sniffled. He seemed conflicted. I'm not sure if that's right. You were at a standstill. Everything will be okay if we just go home. We can't stay out here forever, and we can't go back there. We gotta go back, or then we'll stay out here. I'm not going back. Ugh. The choices. Guess we'll try this one. Cove's brow furrowed, a scowl appearing on his lips. He turned away from you. You stared at his back. You couldn't just stop. Please, Cove. After a few minutes of sullen silence, Cove twisted back at you. He wouldn't look you in the eye. Okay, let's go. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want something bad to happen. Was he doing it for you? That gave you a warm feeling inside, even if you wished he wouldn't leave, didn't want to leave in the first place. And that was that. Together you walked away from the exit sign. Your feet hurt a lot by this point, and you were so tired, but you convinced him. You were bringing Cove home, and that's what mattered. On the long walk back, it was only thanks to the occasional street lamp and faint moonlight that you could see the dark night. Okay, where's his dad at? Like, his dad should have been home and found this note already. They should be looking for you guys. You were content to sit close together. Sometimes your drowsy walking caused one of you almost to bump into the other. The back of your hand brushed his. You held on to Cove's hand. You noticed Cove took a hold of your hand, or you shook your head and tried to wake yourself up. We'll do this one. Cove glanced at you sheepishly. It's adorable. His fingers curled around your palm and held you, and you held on in response. It's cute. The two of you continued down the street, hand in hand. You weren't sure how much time had passed. All you knew that was for one moment you were fighting the drooping of your eyelids while shuffling near Cove on the sidewalk. The next you were snapping back attention by the blaring beep of a horn. It's either his dad or your mom's. Cove froze. You whipped around to see a car approaching you. It was difficult to make out who it was. The headlights were so blinding. Instead of continuing down the street, the car slowed near to where you sat. The window rolled down, revealing the face behind the wheel. It was very familiar. Mom! She shouted back, and not just because there was some distance between you and her. Where have you kids been? I've been looking everywhere for you. I was trying to help Cove. She stopped looking at you, instead staring straight ahead. Both her hands were gripping the wheel. In turn, Cove gripped your hand tighter. This was so hard to face. Guilt ate you up from the inside. Get in. Let's get you home. That at least made her showing up worth it. Your feet were aching like crazy from all the walking you'd done today. You yanked open the side door, slipped in the back seat, and then clambered over so Cove had enough room to climb into. He followed in wordlessly, tucking his backpack near his feet. Your mom looked at you and Cove from the rearview mirror. You two had us extremely worried. That's not a good thing to do, not at all. Shamefaced, you both nodded at once. Sorry, Mrs. Last. Sorry, Mom. She softened immediately, not enough to actually let it go, though. You'll have to apologize to everyone else, too. With that, Mom started the car up again and you were off. For the rest of the ride, no one said anything. You thought all of you were pretty tired. In fact, you must have dozed off at some point because you woke up to the sound of the engine stopping. When you opened your eyes, you realized Cove was looking over at you. He was tense. We're back. You yawned and got out of the car. Cove came out after putting his backpack on again. Mom locked the car door and motioned you two towards the house. She opened the front door and let you in first. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been nearby, waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. Tight lining her shoulders relaxed when she saw you and Cove. Oh, thank goodness, you found them both. Yes, I did. They were walking down the main street together. What were you doing at this time of night? Do you have any idea how far that is? How unsafe? If only you knew we walked all the way to the city limits. You peeked at Cove. He still looked exhausted. His eyes were puffy, and there were dry tear tracks stuck to his cheeks. I had to see my mom. Jamie didn't want me to go alone. Your own mom shared a look. You weren't sure what it meant, but they always did that. You wondered if they could read each other's minds. Since they were communicating telepathically. You stole a glance around the house. Lizzie was nowhere in sight. Where was she? She must have fixed whatever she was doing that morning ages ago. Where's Lizzie? Your sister's in her room fast asleep, the same way you should have been. She went out earlier to look for you two when she accidentally found out you were both missing. She tried to pretend otherwise, but you made her worry sick. Said she had checked all the hiding places she could think of, but couldn't find either of you. You and Cove exchanged remorseful glances at that. Mommy noticed the discomfort. You two must be sleepy. You can sit down whenever you like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned to the living room. Cove looked up at her and then lumbered over. You followed close behind. The living room wasn't far or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing. That explains it at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. Can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True, it can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots. I'll call. Then you go to the front to tell everyone still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hon. Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kind of want to run away and not come back this time, but I don't have to see him, so I don't have to see them again. You can't run away from your problems just because you're embarrassed, you know? That doesn't fix anything. Hey, maybe I should try that. That isn't going to help. They'll forgive you, or please don't run away again. Okay, not the first one, but it's not going to help. They'll forgive you, or please don't run away again. Let's just say they'll forgive you. Maybe. Before you could say anything else, the front door opened. But it's his dad. Your mom was back with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son. Cove, God, are you okay? Shreds of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened like he had been crying too. Aww. Poor Mr. Holden. He's such a good guy, and he just gets treated so poorly. I mean, it's not funny, but poor Mr. Holden. He's trying to do everything he can for his son, and his son's just not appreciative because he doesn't understand. Cove started up at his dad, his own wide eyes behind his frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. Good. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twisted in spasm as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still smiling weakly. So happy you're alright too, Jamie. Then he looked at your mom's. Thanks for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully. And I'm very sorry for running your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough. It's no trouble, Cliff. Really, it couldn't be helped. In a way, something was bound to happen sometime. Besides, he wasn't the only one who decided it was a good idea to disappear today. Exactly. We're just happy the kids are safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then, too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad. I won't leave anymore. Promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine. That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and muscled his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. Bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked to the front door so you could see him off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms proficiously at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow. But he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold. Thanks, Jamie. You're welcome, Cove. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. I'm glad you're okay. You waved him off, you hugged him. We're going to give him a hug. Before he was gone, you reached over to give him a hug goodbye before a hard day. Cove held you more tightly than you could have anticipated, and you almost squeaked out at noise. I'm glad you're here. Aw. His embrace was tight but brief. He let go as soon as he said what he wanted to. With that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind him. You were practically dead on your feet at that point. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you straight to bed with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped off on their own. Your eyelids were so heavy you couldn't keep them open again until the next morning. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like a dream. but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were none too pleased that you had joined Cove despite knowing that he wanted to leave. As punishment, your moms took away your TV privileges for the next few days. Lizzie was annoyed that she couldn't watch her shows with you around, but she adjusted. Whenever you expressed disappointment, your moms reminded you that they weren't punishing you for no reason. It was dangerous to go out on your own so late and without telling anyone. You could have got hurt or worse. As upset as you were, you understood. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what they said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used that you hadn't heard before. Self. I don't know what that is. I'm going to write it down and look it up because I don't know. But apparently they didn't like the fact that he didn't punish Cove for running away. But I think his thoughts were is that if he punished Cove, it would make him want to run away again. So I think that's why he did it. He was worried Cove would try to run off again. I don't know. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove... Wait a minute. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or two to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass, and so did talk about Cove running away. Events eventually returned to normal as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. And that's it for Runaway. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to know when videos come out, and I'll see you next time when we do the last DLC for Step 1, which is Sleepover. Which probably is going to have a lighter tone than Runaway. I feel like this is probably going to be towards the end of summer, since it's the last DLC. So that should be fun. Sleepovers are always nice. Especially when you're little. It's a big deal, you know. But hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.